What's up, guys? It's Tyler McKinney back here again, and today I want to talk some more XFL football. And today we want to look at let's go ahead and look at the rules. Yes, very boring, but I think we can make it a little interesting because they're changing some things up. Yes, it's going to be football. Yes, it's going to be 4 downs. But things are going to look a little different and be a little different. And I think that the way that they've done it is to make the game faster. So let's go ahead and let's dive on into it. I'm going to be using kind of a few different sources. I'm just going to put a plug out here. XFLnewshub.com. They've been kind of a source that I kind of find a lot of information about the XFL on. So if you want to go check them out, I'll put a link to them in the description. But this is an article that they had up, and I just want to go through and kind of discuss some of the things. So the first thing is that they're planning on having a running clock. Now, the only time that that's going to change is pretty much 2 different scenarios. When you use one of your 3 timeouts, or around the 2-minute warning, the clock will stop. Excuse me. Now, I don't know if that means that that they're going to change it after the 2-minute warning, or if it's just stopping for the 2-minute warning and then they're going to go back to the running clock. I don't know because that does kind of change the way some of the football is played when it comes to the when you do the end of the game, when you do your 2-minute warning type of stuff and things like that. So that'll be something interesting to see. Now, I do know that a lot of these things that they're doing, they tried out in the spring league. So yeah, every year a bunch of whole like professional football leagues and guys who are trying to get into the league, get exposure, they all get together and they have this spring league. And the XFL this past year, in the spring, they really kind of spearheaded some things and really put a lot into the spring league, and so they tried out a lot of their stuff within the spring league. Now, I didn't really hear a whole lot that came out of that, but we do know that. So a lot of this stuff is new, and it's been tested slightly in kind of confine time, space, and that with it. So we really don't know a whole lot about it, but we do know that it was tested slightly. So the running clock thing, I think that this is going to be good. It's going to keep things moving for the offenses. I think one of the things that, and they talk about in this article, that it's going to make things fast-paced. They're going to have to keep things rolling and moving, and to where, we might see more scripted offenses. We might see, a lot more no-huddle used. One of the things I think that they might find is you might find, now I have not heard this yet, but you might find that with this whole running clock situation, that you might find that the amount of time in between plays, instead of it being like a 40 seconds with the with college ball and the NFL, it'll be like more like a 25-second with that, to where I could see that happening. And if they did that and kept things a little bit more tight, they might not actually lose that much football. I mean, if you look at it, even like when you're like in college ball, if they're not within like I think it's 5 minutes, that when they set the ball after it's gone out of bounds, they restart the clock. So I mean, you've got some of those things to try to keep the game fast paced. And the reality of it is that studies have shown that football that's more fast paced is actually better football in ratings. Now, you can say what you want about being football purists. I don't know about that, so to say, with whether or not it's a better game. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to ratings, it has been proven that a more faster-paced game that has less stoppage is better for the ratings. So when things are continuously moving, that seems to be better for a game. So for them, in all intents and purposes, with what they're doing, looks like that could be a legit plus for them with that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. They've got another big thing is like lateral passes. So a lot of times especially college ball, because they do a lot of movement, and they might lateral it back to a wide receiver or something, and then do like a some type of where the wide receiver passes the ball down the field or whatever. And sometimes when you've got the option running, you kind of like, well, was that a lateral? Was that a forward pass? And also in the college ball, they use a lot of those shuffle passes where the quarterback will be back in the shotgun, and then you'll have a wide receiver or running back run in front of them, and they'll just kind of toss the ball to them. Well, they're just saying anything that is behind the line of scrimmage is a lateral, which is kind of huge, and it does open up the offense to do some more things because the quarterback can still be a little further back, and then the rest of the position, the skill player positions, and they can still then go and pass it forward from there. So it could you could have a couple of quarterbacks on the field and that have and still have some threats with that. So that might open up some things with that. With special teams in that, the whole returning thing, I don't know. I'm still kind of more of the thing of I kind of lean more of that, like, get rid of the kickoff type of a thing. I still like the kickoff, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to give the players more space, but still keep the game going. So they're saying, like, with like fair catches and stuff, that they have to give the returner 5 yards, as opposed to, like, right now they just kind of got to give them some space and can't impede their ability to catch the ball, which is kind of more of a judgment call on that. And now what they're doing is with the kickoffs, they're kicking off from like with a kickoff, that would be like with a punt or something, but with the kickoff, they're starting at the 15, so the likelihood that there won't be a touchback or something, is very unlikely. But I don't know. Now, granted, they moved the ball back. The ball gets kicked a little further. The idea is it takes more time for them to get to the player to where things can develop a little bit more before you have these collisions. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. This one, I'm kind of like up in the air. I don't know if this one will really work or not. And then the thing that I find the most interesting are the way that they're doing, like, extra points in overtime. So what they're doing is that they're not kicking any extra points, which for me, I don't know. Like, kicking has always been a part of the game. So kind of taking it away, I don't know. That's kind of always been something. So for me, I guess it's kind of more nostalgia than anything else. So, I mean, we can have it, not have it, to where you got to go for two, but it's not really going for two. You get the ball at the 2.5 yard line like you would if you were going for two in like the NFL or in college, but you're going for one. If you want to go for two, they're going to put the ball at the 5. If you want to go for 3, yes, that's right. They said 3. And it's Woody, if you're listening up in heaven, the XFL is allowing you to go for 3. But yeah, if you want to go for 3, then they move the ball on back to the 10. And so you get one shot to get it in the end zone, and I think that's kind of cool, especially if a team's really coming back and they need to get the points back. You can get 9 points on one possession, which is huge. To where, think about that, 2 possessions, that's 18 points right there. That really can, kind of swing a game. And that can also add to the whole thing of, like, where they've get that running clock thing happening. It lends for teams to be able to catch up a little bit quicker. So I get that with it. Now, the overtime rules are something pretty interesting. So what they do is that it's kind of like almost like a shootout in soccer or in hockey. And so the overtime is you get the ball and you get one shot to punch it in. You punch it in, you get a point. If the defense gets a turnover, they get a point. You do that 5 times, and whoever scores the most points wins. So if I were to throw an interception on the first play, then the other team gets a point. Then they go ahead and their offense lines up, and the same thing. You do that 5 times back and forth, and whoever has the most points after those 10 plays, 5 for each team, is the team that wins in the overtime. I think it's kind of a neat concept, neat idea. It's kind of like the college thing, except for the college, you can still get first downs and things like that, and it's a one-time shot. There's no first downs with it. You either score on the play or you don't. I think it's kind of a cool, neat concept. We'll see what happens with it. All in all, the changes are pretty minor, but they can have a big impact. I think the running clock thing is going to be something that'll be interesting to see. And it might fly this year, and you might see it gone next year. You might see them tweak it a little bit. It's just something new. But they're really trying to make the game fast-paced, and they're really trying to keep it from being long, laborious games. Because sometimes, let's just face it, football can be boring, and we can make it boring. Whether it be just pounding and holding the ball for 40 seconds, then running another play. I mean, there are a lot of college teams that do that do ball control, time management to try to keep the scores of the game down. With this, especially if they can get that time in between plays down, that's not going to happen as much to where you'll be able to focus more on more electrifying plays. But overall, I'm okay with these changes. Nothing too crazy here for me. Nothing that I think that's going to be a downfall to them. And like I said before, remember, more fast-paced football games lend for better rated TV games. And that's what the XFL needs right now. And so that in and of itself is huge for them. But again, those are just my thoughts. The question is, what do you think? Do you like these rule changes? Do you not like them? Is something just off to you? Does it just not feel like football? Or does football just not feel like football to you anymore? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. I really want to hear from you. I want to have a discussion. That's one of the biggest things about football is we get to discuss it and have fun talking with one another and giving our opinions and doing that. So I'd really appreciate to hear from you. All right. Well, I know that you guys are busy. And I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.